All right, welcome back to Onebar and Lupagus show on Onebar. We got Justin from the Purple Persuasion in the house. They are almost at 7,000 followers on Twitter. I'm guessing a majority of our viewers are probably already following you, but if you haven't, get your butt over there.
Absolutely.
They're going to get to 10K before
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Season. That's the game. That's the game. But we got some nuggets. Let's dive right into these things.
So what do we got first?
We got Jefferson, Justin Jefferson Florio. He's not being very nice to some of these beat writers.
Yeah, that was a good one though. So obviously Justin Jefferson gets paid Monday, big money, $35 million per year, most guaranteed money that everybody else got. So happy he's here. We don't have to deal with that drama anymore. But Florio continues to double down. And I always, people hate Florio, but I always like him. He's entertaining. He keeps people engaged. And what we found interesting though is he seems to still double down on the Vikings wanting to trade Jefferson and them still exploring for Malik Neighbors. I mean, a lot of it, it's like, the Vikings are not going to say that they're going to do it or anything like that because they inked him. It's kind of hindsight 2020 at this point, but he continued to double down. And I thought it was really interesting. If you were to read that full article, there was about the last 3 paragraphs he spent on the beat writers and how they shield things and kind of how they're puppets. I think it was or parrot was the word that he used, that they were a parrot for the team. And I do think there is truth to that. I think they do have limitations of what they can and can't write about. I've talked to Dustin Baker a lot about this too, about like a press pass and what it takes to get that and how difficult it is. So these people, they have certain criteria or they lose their press pass credentials to interview and do stuff with the team. So, they do have some guidelines that they do have to follow with what they can and can't report. Florio, amplified it. And I've never really seen like a national media person really target beat writers like that. So I was real fascinated with that. And obviously we played some nuggets of that this past week, but he continues to double down. He's saying the beat writers were shielding it. And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. He's on the team till 2028, which is the most important part. So hats off to Jefferson and how he handled the whole thing. And, he didn't pull a Diggs or a Randy Moss kind of, back in the day. So happy he's here. But I thought that was a fun little nugget that's kind of worth kind of keeping an eye on there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, love or hate Florio, he's doing something right because everybody's always talking about him. Everybody's always engaging, and he does hit on some things. So, yeah, it doesn't matter if they're shielding or not. The end game is that Justin Jefferson is here. And Lupagus and I were getting into this, and it's like, if the Vikings even were trying to do it, they're not going to, of course,
exactly. They're not going to say it.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I mean, he's here. Florio will continue to get under everybody's skin, and I want a front row seat to it. And he's also tweeting some of your guys' stuff out.
Yeah, he gave us some love. I actually, long story short, I knew the Jefferson deal was going down on Saturday, and then I got the full details on Sunday. How to keep it under tight ropes. We kind of were teasing it a little bit. But yeah, Florio, I think knew too, because he kind of hinted that on Sunday, and then obviously Monday morning, all the deals, everything dropped there, and he's happy he's on the team. But Florio's got connections, so I think with people saying he doesn't know anything, he's got smoke up his ass, all that kind of stuff that I see in the mentions, he's got some takes, and he does play a lot of different sides, and eventually some of those do hit. But
he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. He's for 20 years, he knows what he's doing in where he's been at since where he started it from the ground up. It's pretty impressive. So I respect Florio for that. I don't always enjoy his takes sometimes or the drama that he builds, but sometimes in this off season, you need a little drama and you need a little stuff to talk about. So it's fun.
Well, stuff to talk about. Let's talk about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold just lighting it up all damn week, lighting it up all off season. Is this fool's gold? What are we going to see here? But he's doing all the right things. That's all that matters.
Yeah. He's got the leg up. He's been in the league a few years. Obviously, he struggled. We all kind of know the Sam Darnold story from number 3 to being on his 4th team now. But he worked with Shanahan last year. Kevin O'Connell's got the whole Shanahan-type scheme, so it's going to be a lot easier for him to learn the playbook than it is for J.J. McCarthy, which representing the new J.J. McCarthy jersey, by the way.
Damn, nice.
So that showed up this week on Monday. Actually, it was a good, sweet day, actually. Yeah. But going back to Darnold, I think it's a I think it was that wasn't Perisolo. It was Rappaport who kind of put out a video saying that Darnold is kind of like the off-season star. He always shines, but then once he's thrown into a game, he gets that pressure on him that he just turns into a pumpkin. So I do think that's a stigma that he's had, and he's going to have to break it. I think he's going to be the starter week 1. How long he holds on to that, I don't know at this stage. But seems like he's doing well. He's hitting receivers, and The players seem to be, speaking highly of him, but that's kind of just common sense at this point. And I don't think a player's gonna be like, yeah, he's sucking in practice or anything like that to the media. But in the grand scheme, I think he's doing well. At least the beat writers are all saying that he's striving, he's calm, he's consistent, which is a little bit different than what they're kind of saying about McCarthy. So a lot to go. They've only had limited access for certain OTAs and mini camp. But we'll get a lot more kind of a tell in training camp and when the fans can start seeing and putting everything together.
Yeah, that's when shit will hit the fan. I'm impartial as far as how the quarterback shakes out this year. If it's Sam Darnold, I mean, obviously we all want to see JJ McCarthy.
Oh, of course.
It would just be fun.
Yeah.
But if it's Sam Darnold and McCarthy doesn't touch the field once, like, I'm not going to care.
I'm not going to. Well, we're all Vikings fans, or at least the true fans are fans, and we're all going to root for whatever quarterback they throw out there week one or for the whole season. I do think they're shielding McCarthy. I wrote about it. I've tweeted about it. I think Ben Gosling kind of was the first one that hinted at it that I was listening to on Access Vikings. They're really the coaches especially aren't talking about him too much. You can tell that the social media account is barely posting anything McCarthy wise. We still haven't gotten the JJ to JJ connection, which is just mind blowing to me, even though it's in training camp or mini camp. So I think they're definitely trying to temper expectations, and we're just gonna have to roll with it as fans.
I mean, and if it comes down to it, would you rather have JJ McCarthy play the whole season and let's say we go 5-12?
I think it sets him up,
and his confidence and everything just is I mean, that messes with a rookie quarterback
for sure.
Like if we're gonna be a 7-10 team, whatever, I'd rather it's be Sam Darnold. I mean, get over the hump. McCarthy comes back next year. He's 22 years old.
Yeah,
got plenty of time.
Plenty of time, still 4 years on the contract, and then they could even extend him if he's showing like that he's worth it, and they could even milk 2 more years of that. So they easily have at least 5, even 6 years of like solid cap hits for him. So I'm not real worried about it, and I think the schedule is pretty rough. That first, through the bye and even post bye, those 2 games, it's pretty brutal. I think throwing McCarthy into that is just probably not a good idea, anyways. And say we're 1-2-7 or something like that, then maybe we could explore throwing him in there.
Yeah, put him in when the season's already shit and he has no pressure. But we'll see.
Yeah, maybe Darnold lights it up and kind of resurrects his career like Baker did with the Buccaneers this year, and he was on his 14 too. So it's like maybe they just need a right system, some actual competent offensive skill players around him, and he puts up decent 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10-15 interceptions. I think that could win us a lot of games.
All right, well, just quick on McCarthy. We already mentioned it, but he's had a little bit of an up and down, as any rookie quarterback will. But it sounds like he got a little bit better on Thursday, a little bit better showing.
Yeah, he did. So, I think the media they had full access for camp this week. They only had 1 in the past 2 weeks for the OTAs. So they really have only had about 5 days for them looking at McCarthy. Obviously, the team's not saying a whole lot about him. But, yeah, it sounds like he was pretty inconsistent. He's got a big arm. He can hit those deep throws, but it sounds like he needs that. I think we talked about it on the show too, like he needs, instead of a fastball, he needs a curveball, he needs a knuckleball. So those intermediate to short throws that I think he needs to dial up his touches a little bit. I can't remember if it was Gosling or Lewis mentioned that he had like 3 straight incompletions, or 3 balls hit the ground, which is kind of rough, but it sounds like Thursday was his best day and he was lighting it up. I think there was a sweet little throw to, I think it was Theo Jackson. He was throwing some bombs to. Sounds like he really has a connection with Tunyon, the tight end. So it sounds like he's improving and things are clicking. And it's mini camp. He's trying new things, new footwork, new. It's trial and error. You don't want to just be safe the whole time. You got to try things. What can I get away with? What can I not get away with? Try this footwork. Try this movement and stuff like that. So this is the time and season to do it. Not in the regular season, you won't be trying that. So I'm not worried. Even if he doesn't play the whole season, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, we all as fans want to see him, like we said, but I think it's going to be a slow development. They're preaching patience, and I think that's kind of the route they're going to take even through training camp and into the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Bob Tunyon, our new phenom tight end, just ripping it up, catching everything, toe taps. He's looking like Bob Tunyon of 2017, baby. I admittedly am getting way too excited for Robert Tunyon, but I do think he's going to be catching some balls early and often until Hawkinson gets back.
I think so too. I with all these tight end, I think they moved Keneal Harry to tight end as well. So they've gone after a lot of tight ends. this offseason in some way, shape, or form, which signals I think Hawkinson's going to miss at least half the season is my guess. I think the earliest he's back is post-bye, after we get back from London. And I think Tunyon's good. I think the Packers and the Bears didn't really use him a whole lot. I think that the Packers, he was a little more, better, I guess, for them, or at least statistic wise. But the Bears, I don't think used him a whole lot. He was only at really low snap rates, and Fields isn't that type of quarterback to really use the tight end a whole lot. So I wouldn't reach too much into his historical aspect, but I think he's going to get a lot of touch this year. I think Josh Oliver is not the pass catching tight end. He's more of the run blocking extension of the O-line. I think Munt and him are going to get a good amount of reps. And I'm actually interested in Harry, man. I think he's got the size, he's got the speed. I think that's a sneaky under the radar type move that could pay big dividends, I think. So I'm excited about that. But Tunyon's going to get a lot of work early in the season until Hawk's back for sure.
Yeah, he wants to go on top. He was one of the top tight ends back when he was with Rodgers and the Bears. He just went to no man's land. I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder. He's getting paid pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
And he's coming in as an underdog guy. So I would love to see him get a touchdown or two early in the season. Wrapping it up, let's go to the secondary cornerback safeties. A lot of chatter going on there with Lewis Seen. Is he going to make it? Andrew Booth, Doogie was saying some things, and then guys like Shaq Griffin just ripping it up.
Yeah, well, we'll start in the furthest back in the secondary. I think Seen is, from my face, I think he's very much on the block of getting cut, not making the roster. I know Doogie had mentioned on Scoops this past week that he feels at this stage, he really emphasized that, as of today, he feels a little bit more confident about him making the roster, and talked about how he does not think Booth is going to make it, but we'll get to that in a second. But I think it's a long shot. He's buried deep there. Jackson and Ward are up there on him. So he's probably the last safety on the roster, and I think they're going to have to bring another cornerback or two in there, and I think they're going to go with maybe 5 safeties instead of 6 like they did last year. So it's a deep room. As of now, I think the only way that they keep seeing is maybe they think Smith retires next year. I can't remember, Ward or somebody's going to be a restricted free agent. Bynum's also going to be an unrestricted free agent if they don't extend him this offseason. So that room could get real thin next year, but as of now, he's the low man on the totem pole, but we'll see how he does in camp.
Seen has to prove that he can play special teams.
He didn't even get special teams action. He was getting
but that's the only way he makes the team in my mind, because if they cut him, obviously they're eating some cash there, and at this point maybe they don't even care. But if he can be a special teamer, I think he can sneak on.
The whole new kickoff format, I think it's not the same. So it's like certain skill sets are going to be better for the new kickoff format. I think that's going to be trial and error, I think, for a lot of teams. For most part, I could even see teams just punting on the kickoffs and just letting teams start at the 30 and not dealing with potential kick returns or big returns and stuff. So that's going to be an exciting thing early on in the year for a lot of teams to figure out. But regarding the secondary and the cornerback situation, sounds like Shaq Griffin's really dominating. I know Lewis had a lot of high praise for him. He's able to play on the outside, and I know Flores ideally wants to put Byron Murphy Jr. into the slot, and then that kind of leaves an open outside spot too for certain packages in the nickel, whether that's Blackman or Caleb Evans or Kyrie Jackson. I think that's some good competition, I think, going into camp. Booth, I think he's the odd man out of this whole thing. I would pretty much put a lot of money on him not making the roster. I think he's buried. He's proven that he doesn't know what he's doing. The light bulb thing we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I talked about with Lupagus. I think there's just too much there. He's broken, and there's McLaughlin showing some praise as an undrafted free agent as a cornerback. So and he was getting some starting reps this week, it sounds like. So if Booth isn't there and he's in the practice side field, it's a long shot for him too, and he's already proven that he can't play special teams either. So I think that the cornerback room and the safety room are going to be interesting battles this upcoming offseason into training camp.
Looking back at the first 2 picks of Kwesi, Seen and Booth. Baby.
Yeah, the whole 2022 draft was probably not great.
Nick Muse is going to make up for that. He's going to
I don't know if Nick Muse is going to make the roster either. We'll see. It makes Ty Chandler, and that's probably about all you can get out of that draft class.
Yeah, it was not fantastic, but we've made up for it since then. Everything's looking good. And those are pretty much the biggest news and nugs. Yeah. One last one I'll throw in.
Yeah, throw it in.
Is just Jalen Naylor.
Yeah,
sick, missed this whole week. Maybe it's with him, it's just bad luck. He's always missing time, whether he's sick, whether it's an injury.
Critical times too. It's not.
But at some point, you just got to be like, dude,
You
We got other guys stepping up. We're moving on.
Yeah, I saw that today. I only saw that he was out Thursday. I didn't even know that he was out Wednesday or Tuesday and Wednesday. So he pretty much missed all of minicamp, and he was dominating in OTAs. This is what he does. He shows like the speed. He shows versatility, that he can catch. You know, he's made some splashes in games when he's very limited, you know, his time, even in the regular season. But he's just one of those players that just can't break the illnesses, the absences from practices, whether it's, you know, he's got an injury, which has been most of his NFL career. And then I don't know what sickness he has that he couldn't play. But in these critical times where he needs to showcase his talent to be that wide receiver 3, he's just not making the case. But I think he's another one on the chopping block of the 2022 class too from Kwesi. So
yeah, I mean, it's bad luck. I mean, clearly the guy wants to be out there. He must have been on the cusp of shitting his pants or something. The fact that he just could not go out there. And he knows. I mean, he knows how important this is, and there's a spot to be had. It just sucks that we're not, as of now, anyways, seeing when he can bring that.
Maybe he breaks the jinx or whatever he's got going on and can play a full training camp. Because I think if he misses any single time in training camp, he's on the chopping block.
Pop some Imodiums, Mr. Naylor. We want to see you out there. Those are the news and nugs. Justin, once again, appreciate you hopping on. Persuasion, hit him up on Twitter. Give him a follow. Do it, and we'll be back next week.
Sounds good. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me on.